as are presented to you today. Your Excellency, you will agree with me. This presentation has been given, Your Excellency, from the youngest to the universities. Allow me, Your Excellency, just to give you the statistics of who presented here today so that we can appreciate the magnanimity and the enormity of this particular exercise. In the early years category, Your Excellency, we had 15,750 students participating. Those are the pre-primary, the ECDs. Primary schools, we had 40,000 students participating. In junior schools, we had 24,050 students participating. In secondary, we had 48,300 students participating. In TVETs, we had 8,000. And in TTCs, 4,800. And the universities, 6,350 out of the 26 universities. What does this tell us? It tells us that talent is across our institutions. And it has vindicated us today, Your Excellency, that the competency-based education program that we are undertaking is actually the right way to go. And because of that, I support what the chairman has requested for, that we think about establishing a premier National Academy of Creative Arts and Music. The reason is I was sitting next to Momanyi here, John Momanyi, who presented the violin presentation. He tells me that he wants to pursue music. And he applied to go to the Interlochen Arts Academy in the US and got admitted. But the fees is too high. He got a scholarship of 50% of 7 million, is looking for the balance. If we had that academy in this country, he would not need to look to apply to a university or to a school outside Kenya. So, Your Excellency, as a ministry and with your guidance, we can start looking at the mechanics and methods of how we can be able to establish that institution so that we can have our people progress and benefit from the CBE that we are doing, because the first cohort that would go to university will go in 2029, and with an academy like that, we'll be having another institution where these students can proceed and study, so that we can get the benefit, the total benefit from the arts and science that we are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, with those few remarks, let me invite our Deputy President to make his remarks and invite Your Excellency the President. Thank you very much, and God bless you, and thank you everybody for what you've done here today. Asanteni sana.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, Your Excellency, First Lady Mama Rachel, all colleagues and students and all of us present, Your Excellency, allow me to say 3 things in 3 minutes before I invite you. We are grateful for the incredible organization that has gone to the preparation of the 97th Kenya Music Festival. And Your Excellency, as the patron of the event, allow me through you to thank the Ministry of Education and all the agencies, the teachers, the students and pupils and everybody in between who has made this possible. Music speaks to our souls, and music helps us with a software with which to develop, or with which to drive our country's everyday life. Music speaks to us, and music presents a powerful tool. First, in promoting positive tenets and positive values in the community and in the nation. The things that we want to see, nationhood, hard work, integrity, excellence. All these things, music can help us to nurture them because it speaks to our souls. Music also helps us to fight the negative things that we want to discourage from our society. Corruption, laziness, and all manner of bad behavior, including violence and crime. We can fight it through music. And therefore, Your Excellency, I want to support the requests that have been made here that you consider helping this nation to taking us to the next level, and the proposal for an academy for music and arts and the performance sciences will be quite a value addition to this process. Your Excellency, sir, during the last 2 years, the administration which you lead has been able to make a lot of progress, and I'm happy to see the fruits of the transformation of what was initially conceived as CBC and what now is CBET, from just a curriculum, competence-based curriculum, to a wholesome competence-based education and training. And I like the way we are all gathered here watching performances from the very little ones to the very senior students we have in the university in one or under one roof. Your Excellency, you've seen the multiplication of the number of teachers in our country. You have overseen the construction of a lot of education infrastructure, including classrooms, and the soon-to-be launched laboratory program. You have overseen the multiplication of the enrollments in our TVETs from 297 to almost 700 plus today. You have overseen the transformation of the university funding model to try and retrieve our education system from insolvency and other challenges that were facing our universities. And therefore, Your Excellency, the education reforms that you continue to guide us through will see this country move to the next level. Your Excellency, the last thing I want to say is about the pathways that now our education system is being recognized for. In my very humble submission, as somebody who has been an educationist before, although I was not trained as a teacher, I see a few professors here, including Professor Baraza. You know, professors are not trained teachers, but they teach anyway. So in my own estimation, the pathways of STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is a powerful pathway that will drive our country to the next level, into the next century. The next pathway of social sciences is equally important, Your Excellency, because while science speaks to our hardware as a country, the roads and the things we want to do in scientific and technological advancement, the social sciences help us to understand that the human person operates in community, and they help us become social beings. So that equally, the social sciences is an important pathway. The arts and sports and the creatives, which is the third pathway, is also important because while science speaks to our minds and makes our minds better, the social sciences talks to us so that we understand the society and the community we live in, so that you can have an engineer who understands they live in a society beyond the science and the mathematics that they have been taught. But the performance arts and the music and all these creatives, Your Excellency, speak to our souls. They speak to our souls. They are the ones that can help us fight corruption, fight the vices like violence, and also help us promote positivity, nationhood, hard work, integrity. And therefore, Your Excellency, these three pathways speak to the wholesome approach of nation building. And I dare say, Your Excellency, as a former professor, that none of these pathways is superior to each other. They are all important. STEM is important. The social sciences are important. The arts and sports are important. And maybe the conversation our policymakers will help us into the future to discuss is whether we need equal numbers in all these qualifications and pathways. I don't think we need the same number of experts in STEM compared to the same number of the social scientists or those in the arts and the creative, the numbers. But in terms of the role and their part in nation building, the three pathways of STEM,
the teachers, students, and all the participants, good afternoon. Hamjambo. It gives me immense pleasure and joy to join you at the 97th Kenya Music Festival State Concert, where we celebrate the extraordinary talent, creativity, and cultural expression of our learners from across the nation. These performances are not just a showcase of artistry. They are powerful tools of education, unity, and national development. Critically, the art and performance industry are vital pillars of job creation for our young people. This year's theme, Enhancing the Creative Economy Through Artistic Expression for Sustainable Development, could not be more timely or relevant. Across the world, the arts and entertainment sectors are emerging as solid sources of income and formidable new frontiers for wealth creation. Ladies and gentlemen, our creative and entertainment sector currently contributes only 5% to our GDP and only 0.25% to our total wage employment. This means we are only scratching the surface. With the right investment and policy support, this contribution can rise all the way to 30% in the very near future. The government has put in place robust policies and initiatives to promote the music and arts industry, recognizing its potential to create jobs, promote culture, foster national unity, and contribute meaningfully to our economy. When I was elected in August 2022, only 4 countries were monetized. Only 4 African countries were monetized on Facebook, and Kenya was not one of them. After determined negotiations between the government of Kenya and the top leadership of Facebook, the company honored its commitment, and today, Kenya is among the select few countries whose creators are paid for their original content on the platform. We fought hard and won, and we are not stopping here. Next month, during my visit to New York for the United Nations General Assembly, I will meet leaders of major global technology companies to expand collaboration for the benefit of our creators. This includes integrating M-Pesa into Facebook's payment system to make payouts faster, easier, and more accessible. I will also be asking Google to enable Kenyans to purchase adverts via M-Pesa, a change that will benefit both creatives and micro, small, and medium enterprises selling their products online, creating a win-win situation for Kenya and for YouTube, which will enjoy more transactions on its platform. Our creatives are also monetizing content on X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube, which have now increased payouts to Kenyan producers. I have directed all ministries, departments, and agencies to prioritize advertising on the digital platforms to grow our digital economy, create jobs, and increase incomes for our creatives. This is the context. The more we advertise online, the higher our content is weighted, and the more our creatives will earn. We have no excuse, therefore, not to advertise online. Mr. Chairman, earlier this year, we hosted the inaugural US-Kenya Creative Economy Forum, a milestone whose impact will soon be felt across the creative industry. Next month in the United States, I will meet with the Recording Academy, organizers of the Grammy Awards, to fast-track plans for establishing world-class studios here in Kenya and to set in motion the journey towards eventually hosting an African edition of the Grammy Awards in Nairobi. As usual, there are those who doubt, the cynics who question everything we do. But as we have always done, we will answer them with tangible outcomes that benefit Kenyans. The Grammy team has already expressed interest in anchoring their presence within our new Talanta Stadium in Nairobi. To this end, I am directing the Ministry of Youth and Creative Economy to expedite all outstanding steps to deliver a truly state-of-the-art creative experience for our artists, producers, and innovators right here at home. Furthermore, the Government of Kenya has established the State Department for Creative Economy under the Ministry of Youth Affairs to focus on developing the creative industry, including music, film, fashion, and the performing arts. Beyond this, I have set up a coordination and advisory unit within my office to direct and connect creatives directly to the presidency. This formalizes our commitment to treating creative talent as a strategic national development resource. The creative industry will be a major pipeline for jobs in the very near future. In addition, the Government of Kenya is steadily implementing the competence-based education framework, under which music, drama, and visual arts are part of the curriculum from early years to senior school. In fact, arts and talent-driven careers will be a distinct pathway in senior school beginning January next year. This financial year, through the Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Education, we are undertaking a Kenya shillings 950 million retooling program to ensure we have the human resources to identify, nurture, and guide artistic talent from a young age. I want to agree with those who have made the presentation ahead of me that we have been going through a journey of reforming our education so that it meets the requirements of the marketplace. It meets the requirements of the Vision 2030 that we are focused on. And the reform of the education has been work in progress. I remember when I was Minister of Education in 2009, we transitioned from the education system that we had that time and mainstreamed technical training colleges and technical training education. I am very happy that again, as a country, we are continuing to work on our education reform, and that this time round, under the competence-based education and training, where we started with competence-based curriculum, and we had many challenges, and we had many questions, and there were a bit of confusion as to where this was going to go. And Kenyans were asking themselves, which way education in Kenya? I am very proud that today, our professionals in the education sector, working with the Ministry of Education and working with the government of Kenya, we now have a clear pathway that points to the future of our education in a meaningful and comprehensive way. That now we will have 3 pathways that is going to harness the talent and the pool of knowledge that is necessary for us to drive our education into the future. The STEM subjects are important, the social sciences are important, the arts and creatives are equally important. And that is why I've said beginning January next year, those pathways will be available for all our students so that we can grow this society in a wholesome manner. Mr. Chairman, music brings joy. I didn't, however, know, I have learned from you, that when everything else stops, there will be music in heaven. I didn't know particularly that part, but now I am informed. But it must also bring musicians dignity and comfort. I have met musicians from various regions and genres, and their complaint is always the same. The issue of royalties has been stuck in endless cycles of debate for far too long. That we must bring to an end. The Kenya Copyright Board must now take decisive action and resolve the collective management organization standoff once and for all. I am pleased to report that Kenya Copyright Board is now enforcing the requirement of 70% of royalties to go directly to artists, and that non-compliance will lead to loss of licenses for those who are involved. I further direct the board to implement a digital royalties system on the e-citizen platform without delay, even if it requires legislative changes. We must get rid of middlemen and brokers that are earning more money than the artists themselves. We cannot postpone action on something that directly benefits the very people whose music we all celebrate. The time to act is now, and this matter must be brought to conclusion this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the black tape levy has already collected 100 million shillings, which will go directly to supporting the creative industry. I have directed the Kenya Copyright Board to finalize fair distribution guidelines in line with the recent judicial rulings. And ultimately, creatives must receive at least 70% of the proceeds from their work. The government has rehabilitated cultural centers such as the Kenya National Theatre, Bomas of Kenya, and regional hubs to provide affordable spaces for performance and training. We are exploring proposals to build additional cultural centers using funds from the housing levy. Counties are encouraged to establish creative industry hubs and to decentralize talent development. Mr. Chairman, what we have seen and heard today strengthens our conviction that our schools and learners must begin to earn from their talent and creativity. Until now, the situation has been unfair and outdated. To watch their own performances, artists have had to travel to Nairobi, select their pieces, and pay 1,000 shillings for a DVD that is their own work. Last year, I committed to create an online distribution platform for school drama and music performances. Today, as you have heard from the leadership of eCitizen, we are keeping that promise. The platform will be live on eCitizen, enabling students, parents, and fans to download performances instantly for less than Kenya shillings 250 shillings without having to travel to Nairobi, down from the previous 1,000. This is a bold leap forward, replacing DVDs with instant digital access and marking the first step towards building Kenya's own Netflix for local production. This initiative will enhance accessibility, promote creativity, and showcase Kenya's rich cultural heritage, both locally and globally. The Kenya National Drama and Film Festival and the Kenya Music Festival will benefit greatly as their visibility will grow, their audience will expand, and the work of our artists will reach far and beyond our borders. Art thrives when there is a strong consumer base, and not just the performers. We must take it easy to consume. We must make it easy for us to consume our own entertainment. I welcome the latest judicial decision upholding the direct payment of Skiza earnings to musicians, cutting out middlemen as the new law requires. However, we have noticed in the past that the artists end up with a short end of the stick. It is now provided in law that up to 52% should be paid to the artists, not 30%, as is the case at the moment. I challenge network providers to review their revenue splits and give a fair share to the artists whose talent drive their platform's success. I am aware that the Creative Economy Support Bill 2024 and the Culture Bill 2024 are before Parliament. I urge both the National Assembly and the Senate to fast-track their passage into law. These laws will unlock grants through the Creative Fund that is going to be put in place by this legislation. It will also provide credit guarantees, offer fiscal and tax incentives to attract major film productions, and help creatives register and defend their intellectual property, both at home and abroad. As you are all aware, we haven't benefited sufficiently from film production because the regime that has existed, the legal regime that has existed, was rigid. With these two pieces of legislation before Parliament, we intend to make it easier, we intend to make it possible for large filmmakers who currently are shooting elsewhere to shoot in Kenya. And therefore, I am asking Parliament to expedite the passage of this legislation so that our creatives here at home can become part of the film industry that is thriving globally. Let me also say that already we have the Kenya Academy of Sports. And therefore, the request that we create a pathway and we create an academy where the performers who are here, the talented performers who are here, can channel their training, can have a pathway of training and knowledge acquisition and learning that takes them to the apex. I am directing the Ministry of Education to immediately review the Kenya Academy of Sports and expand it to be the Kenya Academy of Arts, Creatives, and Sports, and provide the necessary funding so that we can begin to put in place the necessary infrastructure that will support the three pathways. Now that we have a clear pathway of arts and creatives and sports, it is equally necessary that we put in place the necessary infrastructure to support its development so that from primary school to secondary school to higher education, all the way, there must be a clear pathway and clear infrastructure to support the development of this very critical sector that has been said will speak to the soul of our nation and speak to us in ways that words and other disciplines cannot speak to us. As I conclude, I congratulate all who have performed at this state concert and urge you to remain humble, disciplined, and focused. You have a bright future if you combine talent with patience and hard work. I wish you all the very best as you join your families and enjoy the remainder of the school holidays. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Thank you very much. I must congratulate my good friend John, the guy of the violin. I had to seek the support of my daughter for me to understand what was going on, because I was a bit old-fashioned, and she had to explain to me a few things. Congratulations, John, and you are a great inspiration for the creatives. And because of you, we are going to put in the resources necessary, you and others that have performed here, including my small girl, Dana. Where is she? She's right. Oh, she's already asleep. Oh, my goodness. You know, the lady who, interviewed me here, this is our future. And because of them, we must put up the resources necessary to create a pathway for them to be the great men and women that they are poised to be. So we will work hard in that direction, and it inspires me especially that we have young men and women, our own girls and boys, who are excelling in this space. And it also confirms to me that the reorganization of our education system, the reform of our education system, to provide for different pathways under the competence-based education and training is the right direction for us to go as a nation. Because otherwise, people like Dana here, people like John there, would not have the kind of future they want to have. We must support all our children in all the talents they have. There are those who are talented in STEM, there are those who are talented in arts, there are those who are talented in social sciences, and we have great young people who are talented in sports, art, and creatives. And we must, as a nation, think about them, plan for them, and provide the resources and infrastructure, including the teachers, for them to succeed in their space. I want to confirm to my good friend Professor Ngala that the Ministry of Education is going to ensure that not just the 400 of last year. I think we have agreed with the Teacher Service Commission, together with the Ministry of Education, that we are going to enjoin the 400 of last year. Those who did not make it to the list, we are going to add them onto another 450 that we are going to promote this year. Teachers from the creatives, arts, sports space. So, walimu, we are going to consider you because you are doing a great job. Asanteni sana and God bless you.
As we now progress